nothing about software and computers and downloads and all that techno-geeky stuff. For goodness sake, please relax, because I was exactly the same as you until a very few years ago when I had what I now refer to as the URL event. Now, very important event in my life. Now, the URL event took place when I was on a promotional tour for the BBC television series Red Dwarf in the United States of America. It was very exciting, and the URL event itself took place when we were in the Pacific Northwest of America. It was a very beautiful part of the country. Now, I say we because I wasn't on this tour on my own. I was accompanied by my very good friend and fellow actor from the show, Mr. Craig Charles, which made the trip quite lively. Oh, we had some fun later on, yeah. In fact, I've got another snap here, which was taken during that tour. Yes, so that is Craig's underpants on his head, and that is a real gun he's pointing at my neck. In England, you can ask a Red Dwarf fan if you can borrow their mobile phone. In America, you can say, hey, anybody got a gun? And one of them will say, yes. Anyway, so there we were. There we were one day. We found ourselves in this very long corridor of this very peculiar building just outside Seattle, which was in fact Building 8 of the Microsoft campus. Yes, we'd gone along to Microsoft to meet all the wonderful people there to promote the show to them, all the wonderful techno wizards at Microsoft who spent their working lives creating the software that we spend our lives trying to use. And, they're lovely. No, they're lovely people. They're lovely, but very nice company. But then suddenly this man walked up to me and he asked me for some gobbledygook thing I'd never heard of. What he actually said was, "Hey, Bob, why don't you give me your URL, man?" So I turned to Craig for advice, which looking back on it, possibly wasn't the most sensible thing I could have done. I mean, please don't get me wrong, I mean, he's a really nice guy, he's a very special friend, but he's not necessarily the sort of person you go to for guidance on basic life skills. However, I turned to Craig and I whispered to him and said, "Craig, what does he mean with all this URL business?" Well, Craig is not someone who's thrown by such circumstances. No, he had the answer right away. What he said was, "Hey, Bobby man, they want to get a sample of your urine." See, Craig had already decided that Microsoft was the birthplace of the devil. And we'd only been invited there for one reason. What they're going to do, man, is they're going to get a sample of your DNA, then inject a microchip in your brain to make you consume our software. Let's get out of here, man. Let it alone. Well, I mean, it might sound pathetic now, but I really thought he was right. See, I mean, you have to kind of remember, we've been in a science fiction comedy show for many years, and I mean, that much exposure to science fiction can have an effect on your life. It can get very confusing. I mean, as this next picture shows, this is a shot that was taken behind the scenes during a recording of Red Bull. Chris Barry and Craig Charles are seen here trying to tune my nipple nuts into Jazz FM. We didn't know where the line was drawn after that. It was very confusing. And not only that, there was some logic behind Craig's assumption. URL. I mean, R and L are my initials after all, and U, but it must stand for urine. Anyway, I'm a very polite and nicely brought up middle class boy. I was too embarrassed to say no or ask him what he actually meant, so I undid my flies and pulled out my penis. I think I should point out that Microsoft is a very politically correct corporation. In fact, there's a warning sign at the entrance as you go in. It says, "Please do not expose your genitals unnecessarily." Sounds a bit familiar, doesn't it? But anyway, so eventually the dust settled, it was all marvellous, and everybody all went, "Ha ha ha, marvellous, Robert got his fingers out of Microsoft, it was all fine." I mean, a few of the guys did have their digital cameras, it was on the internet within 4 minutes, but that's all been sorted out. And then the nice man from Microsoft, he explained to me what a URL actually was, which I'm sure you all know. It stands for a Uniform Resource Locator, doesn't it? It's a web address, www.tosser.com, sort of place like that. So then we relaxed. And then the nice man from Microsoft, he took me to the Microsoft store and he gave me some software, a big box of Microsoft software, really exciting. So I returned to the UK, really excited about setting up my own web page. Marvellous. Well, I mean, I tried to use it. It was Microsoft after all. It took about a week to upload the program. My laptop crashed more often than a teenager on a motorbike, but eventually eventually I managed to get it to actually work. It was great. And this is the result. Now this is my very first web page. Welcome to my website. I mean, it was a bit of a hobby to start with, really. You know, a few badly scanned snaps and links that didn't really work. And as you can see, in the first year, not a great many visitors. But you know, before long, this developed into a major, and I do mean major, global portal for Red Dwarf and Scrap Heap fans. I started to get hip to the terminology. I started to read Wired magazine and actually understand some of the things it said. You know, now I can talk about having an HTML problem with Netscape 6.5.0.2.1. That was the free beta version that came on the front of, what the fuck PC am I supposed to buy? It's a really good magazine. You should subscribe. It's a very good magazine. And now, I walk around with pocketfuls of gizmos that help my productivity enormously. You know, I can even say, hey, why don't you beam me your business card onto my Palm Pilot? Isn't that amazing? Yeah. No, I wouldn't have dreamt of being able to say that just a few years ago. Of course, when I was a child, the term Palm Pilot had a very different meaning.